Welcome to another episode of The Next Generation. On the podcast today, I have the amazing Amanda Nigg, the founder and trailblazer of FarmFit Training. She is certified NASM as a personal trainer, nutrition coach, wellness coach, running coach, and probably a lot more. Amanda is a huge part of the agricultural industry, really just trying to dedicate herself to enhancing the physical and mental well-being of this community. Her journey from Western Nebraska as a fifth-generation farmer to South Dakota is marked by resilience. After losing her home to a fire just before the pandemic, Amanda launched FarmFit Training in November of 2020. Her holistic program combines fitness training, nutritional guidance, and mental health support, empowering farmers to thrive despite their unique challenges. Guided by the philosophy that life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond, Amanda is on a mission to build strength and resilience in the agricultural sector. Amanda, welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to dive into a conversation today. Amanda and I were yapping away before we even hit record, so I know this is going to be a really amazing podcast for all of you guys. I would love it if you would just take it away, tell people who you are, what you do, and just a little bit about your story.
I'm excited to be here. First and foremost, I appreciate you asking me. I can't thank you enough. I always love getting on podcasts and sharing my story because sometimes when we hear something, it's like, oh, like I can do this. And it kind of gives us that inner motivation that we don't think about. And so just like my amazing bio, by the way, that you just said, I really appreciate that introduction, is my journey is kind of unique in the aspect of like, it's not your typical path to where I got today. You know, a lot of people have different paths that lead them to on their adventures of where they end up in life. And, you know, and that's really where my path starts is like, you know, I've always been like, my personality is I'm a fixer. Like I love to fix things. And so that's actually what drew me into the medical field in college is because I'm like, gosh, I really want to be able to fix things, understand, help people when they're going through a medical crisis. And then what led me into oncology is my grandpa got cancer. He is like my idol. My grandpa was a hardworking man. He had a hobby farm and he also owned a cement plant. And I mean, that man worked day in and day out. He was just such a very pivotal person in my life. And so I have to contribute to my work ethic through him because like without him and that guidance, like I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And so for me, I mean, medical field is where I went into with oncology, but I did graduate college. I want to make that notation here is I did graduate college as a radiation oncology therapist with a dosimetry background. So I do have a medical degree that I do absolutely nothing with. And I went into that field actually for a couple months, but my first case was a 4-month-old baby. And I just wasn't quite ready emotionally, fresh out of college, you know, going through helping this family go through this cancer diagnosis for their infant. And then that whole side of things, they didn't teach you the emotional side of things, especially when you come right out of college. And so I took a step back from that. I actually sold insurance and I did the hardest type of insurance you can do, door to door. So I sold supplemental insurance door to door for 11 years. That's insane for me to say that right now. Because like most people are like, you sold insurance for 11 years. Yes, door to door. So I loved it though. So I didn't grow up in agriculture. I want to make that first highlight that like that agriculture is something I married into. And so when I was selling insurance, one of my clients set me up on a blind date with now my husband. And as soon as I met him, I was like, nope, he's going nowhere. Like he's mine for life. Like he's hitching to this. And so when I married into agriculture, there was a lot of things I did not know. You know, agriculture is an industry that is so misunderstood. And there's a lot of amazing individuals that are bridging that gap between consumer and producer, like on social media. And I can name 10 right off the top of the head. Like Amanda Recchi is one of them, you know, Zach Johnson, a really good friend of mine, is another one. And Natalie and Tara, who own that Discovery Ag podcast, they're great. They do a great job filling that bridge between consumer and producer, but nobody is really helping bridge that gap between physical and mental health within our community. And that really came head to head for me is in 2020, the day before the national pandemic, our house that we just built 4 years prior caught on fire and we lost everything in 2.5 hours. Like our dream home just burned to the ground. And then that next day was the national lockdown for 2 weeks. We know how that went. And so, for me, like I couldn't sell insurance anymore. I was homeschooling my kids, which, by the way, I can teach any adult over 18. But when you tell me to, like, at the time, my kids were super young, 6 and 8. I was like a fish out of water. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, I have to teach them this math. Like, what is this? Like, what is core math? Like, can we do it the old way? And so it was just like, I really hit a mental low. I was struggling mentally. I was struggling with my identity. Like, I couldn't sell insurance anymore. I'm taking on these roles on the farm and I'm homeschooling. And in addition to that, we're homeless. And it was just like mentally, I was at my lowest point. Like, I wasn't suicidal. And I want to make that clear. But at the same time, like, the only resources available was a 1-800 number. And for me, like, I understand how that can work for some individuals, but for me, I had that mentality of someone else could use that. And that's the problem with agriculture is we're so stuck in that way of, oh, somebody else can use that. I don't need that. I'm not to that point. And I was definitely there. And so I never called it or anything like that. But, with that being said, I've always been super athletic. Like, I've been that person in every sport you can name of. I'm very competitive, which my oldest has my competitive mentality. He's just as competitive as his mama, which my husband hates. And, and I've always loved nutrition. I actually have associate's degree in health promotion. So, like, that whole aspect of things really intrigued me. And I knew that, working on my physical health really impacts my mental health. And so when we lost our home, my gym was at our house and same with my office and everything. And my husband knew that. And so he would actually go to our junk pile, which every farm has a junk pile, let's be honest. And he would, in 2020, pull these random pieces of equipment out for me to use as weights. Because, like, in 2020, you couldn't get weights. Everybody was buying everything at home, and trying to put together a gym because they're like, I need to work out. Like, this is crazy. Like, what's the next couple months going to look like? And so I started flipping these tires, these old tires that had holes in them. I started lifting these random pieces of equipment, like, from the old tractor parts and stuff like that as weights. And one of the things I really noticed was my mental health was switching. And I really shared my journey online. So actually, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, Lauren, is I switched my handle. I know you started following me in 2020. I switched my handle to FarmFit Mama in that time. So before my handle was Amanda Nigg. And in 2020, I switched it to FirmFit Mama because I started posting these random workouts. Again, I had the knowledge. I wasn't certified at the time, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to start putting these out there on the internet because everybody was looking for workouts. They're like, what can I do at home? Like, to move my body? Like, what can I do? And one of the things that I've noticed in 2020 is like, nobody was really talking about that physical and mental health interconnection. Everybody was like, it was all about scare tactics. It was all about like, take this supplement, take this to boost your immunity. And it's like, wait a minute, your body has its natural immunity and it can boost itself if you dive into nutrition, if you dive into working out. Like, you can actually combat any virus out there, and at the end of the day, a virus is something like you can't cure. Everybody's going to have to get it at some point because we build up our own natural immunity to it. And so I started posting more about it, and I did this plank challenge. I always love talking about this. I did this plank challenge. I pulled something off the internet, nothing fancy, put together this 30-day plank challenge in May of 2020. And I was like, I'm just going to throw this out there and see if anybody wants to join me. And next thing I knew it, there was like 800 plus farmers. I mean, there was probably over 1,000 tagging me on social media, joining me in this plank challenge. I mean, they were planking on barns, bison, like Dirt's tractor. I mean, like all over in the middle of random nowhere. And it really just opened my eyes to that gap between physical and mental health, because like in agriculture, we're we're really trailblazers. Like if you really think about it, we are technology, we're super advanced. There's tractors that drive themselves now. Like how freaking cool is that? Like we don't have one, but I mean, I'm not opposed to getting one. Louis Nigg, if you hear this. But we have GPS, obviously, where you can click a button and it keeps you in your rows and stuff like that. But what's not advancing in agriculture is the health side of things, like the physical health side of things. Because nowadays, like you don't even have to go and pick up hay bales. Like I remember when I was little on my husband or my grandpa's hobby farm, he would bale hay and we would have to literally go out there and pick up these hay bales and throw them on the back of a trailer and huck them. Well, now there's a machine that actually picks them up. Like that's freaking cool, like saving time, efficiency, it's quicker, like you get more done. So again, the technology side of things is very advancing in agriculture. But the physical labor side of things is not. And the more holistic approach to health and wellness is not either. And so that's really where FarmFit training came about. So when later that year, I decided to go get certified as a personal trainer and nutrition coach to start off with. Now, you're right. I do have like quite a slew of certifications on top of that. But I did go get certified. I did this apprenticeship because I knew I wanted to be online. I knew my reach was better and, being able to service more people in our industry, it had to be online. So I took this business course to learn how to market myself and be online. And then February 5th of 2021, I officially opened the doors to FarmFit Training. And I will be the first to tell you, I was a nervous wreck. It was just like, I'm a go-getter personality, but when you put yourself out there in that position, I was very vulnerable, very open. It was just like, is anybody going to trust me? Is anybody going to want my services, especially in agriculture? Because again, we're very old school when it comes to our own physical health. Like we invest in so many aspects of our life, like crops, farming, grain bids, like every aspect of our life we invest and we have policies in place to protect it. But the one thing that we always forget about is like, hey, we're our longest investment. And if we don't start investing in ourselves, where's that future legacy going to come from? Where is that future generations going to come from? Because most farms are generational. I'm married to a 5th generation farmer. And like on our wall, you guys can't see it, but we actually have a family tree that dates back to the 1700s. And my husband technically is the 6th, but on paper, he's the 5th generation, and then we're raising the 6th. And so with that being said, there's a lot of pride that goes into agriculture and future generations, but those future generations are not going to be able to be stewards of the land or give their heart and soul in the land if you're not around, and people forget about that. They're like, are you going to want to be that 80-year-old in the nursing home that's wheelchair bound? Or are you going to want to be that 80-year-old doing push-ups, pull-ups, and self-sufficient? And for me, I wanted to be that one that's self-sufficient. Like I want to be able to keep up with my kids, be that cool mom that's hands-on and not be that mom that has to sit on the beach covered up because I'm insecure in my own skin. Like I didn't want that for my family. And so, going back to that health component, like I knew that I needed to change myself. And I don't make this public that often, but I was that mom that gained 60 pounds. I'm 5'1". I gained 60 pounds on both pregnancies. Like, I had one emergency C-section and the other one was scheduled, which ended up being a quick C-section as well. So like, I've been that mom that's uncomfortable in her own skin. I've totally have been there. And, and I've been that mom that has no energy through the day, and has a hard time keeping up with her kids. And so for me, it was just like, I wanted to be that change for our family to show them like, hey, we can feel our body. It's not that complicated. Mom could be right here with you. Like the other day I played football with the boys. And my husband recorded me and he's like, holy cow, you took that tackle. Cause my 10-year-old just like wiped me out, like totally wiped me out, like no mercy. But again, I didn't hurt myself. I bounced back. And for me, that's super important is I want to be that leading charge for our family and be that hands-on mom. And the only way that I know I could do that is like tapping into my own physical and mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people forget all the time that we don't always need to work out for the physique. There's so
Oh,
much more to being active and working out and strengthening our bodies that then in turn strengthens our minds. And you talked so much about just kind of that correlation and a little bit of your backstory and intro, but I'd love to hear about like that true correlation, how your physical body really reacts to like your mental mind, and how physical fitness reacts to mental fitness, and how they're one and the same in a lot of aspects as well.
for sure. Well, like, okay, when you think about it, like, let's say you go for a walk, and you're walking, and I'm going to give you a scenario. For example, like, let's say you're walking on a flat road, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not difficult. You're not boosting up your heart rate, like everything's static, but you're moving your body, right? That's great. Now, let's say you're walking that same pace, but now all of a sudden you add a hill in there. Next thing you know, your heart rate goes up a little bit, and you feel a little bit more muscle engagement. Next thing you know, you're tackling this massive hill, and you get to the top of the hill and you look back down and you're like, yeah, I freaking just crushed that. I might be out of breath, but at the same time, hey, like, let's go. Next thing you know, like, you get this flood of happiness, and those amazing things are called endorphins that a lot of people forget about. They're like your happy medicine that's already built into your body. And then the next day you're like, hey, I want that feeling back. Like, I want to feel that again. So then you repeat it and you do it again. And then next thing you know, you do it again and again, because you want that adrenaline rush. You want that happy pills. You want those endorphins to flood your body. And that's just like working out is like, when you first dabble into it, it's a little scary. It's like, where do I go? Like, how do I get into this? Your body starts to get sore. Those first 2 weeks suck. You're like sore in places that you didn't know you could get sore. And the next thing you know, when you start to add nutrition, it's like overwhelming, because you have to realize, like, I'll be honest, I'm 38 years old. I'm almost 39. Like, someone like me, I had to undo when I I dove headfirst truly into my fitness journey after my second child, which was in 2017. And, again, I've always had that fitness background, but again, I gained that 60 pounds in pregnancy. So that was a lot of extra weight to carry around and try to move around that wasn't normally on my frame. And in 2017, there was a lot of moves I could not do. Like, you told me to do a deadlift. Next thing you know, I'm having back pain. And I'm like, wait a minute, I should be feeling this in my booty, not my back. But again, you have to start. You have to take that first step. Is it going to be pretty? Absolutely freaking not. Are you going to have perfect form right out the gate? No. But it just like anything in life, the more you do it, the more consistent you are, the easier it gets. And then the next thing you know, you're doing this beautiful thing called progressive overload, which a lot of people don't even talk about that correctly. Progressive overload is like, let's say I start with 8-pound weights, and all of a sudden I'm doing great form, and the weights are getting easier and lighter. And next thing you know, I'm like, okay, I want to stay in this rep range, like 10 to 12. Let's increase the weight and drop down to the minimum of the rep range, which is 8 reps. And so or 10 reps, 10 to 12 is what I said. And so then I'm lifting 15 pounds at 10 reps. Then I get back up to 20. And then I'm like, wait, I'm at 12 pound or 12 reps with 15 pounds, and it's easy again. Let's go back down to 10 and add more weight. And again, in return, you're building that lean, sexy muscle, which a lot of women don't understand is like, hey, you have to lift heavy weights to build muscle. Muscle shreds fat faster. And one of the things that I absolutely love is when women come into the program, they're like, I want to be toned. Okay, well, in order to get toned, you're going to have to lift heavy, sister. Like, your little 5-pound, 8-pound weights are not going to do shit. Like, let's pick up the weight and let's start putting on that muscle. And then again, when you couple that with a high protein diet, so something we do educate on and teach fully is something called macronutrients, but this is a big word. And a lot of people are like, I've heard of macros before. I get that you're focusing on protein, carbs, and fats in large amount, but how those numbers work is different from every single person because we're unique. There's only one us. We're one of a kind. There's nobody in this world like you, which is super freaking cool. So with that being said, is your macro profile is going to be a lot different from somebody else's. And in return, when you start to focus on fueling your body correctly, and starting to fuel yourself with the proper nutrition, it's like you're shredding fats in those stubborn area. You're building that lean, sexy muscle. You're starting to get that chisel look. But again, yes, a lot of women are looking for that tone look and that physique look. But at the same time, they don't realize that mental impact that's going with that. All of a sudden you're more confident. In agriculture, we need to be fucking confident. Excuse my French. I shouldn't have said that. We need to be confident. I'm a cusser. I should have forewarned you, Lord. I don't hold anything back. Sorry, your audience. But, in agriculture, we need to be confident. There's we're out there. If you're on social media, you're bridging that gap between, consumer and producer. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to agriculture, especially, individuals that are not in it. They're like, when all of a sudden food prices increase, guess who they blame? The farmer. When it has nothing to do with us. It's all that middleman people that are jacking up your prices. We're not getting more money. I wish we were. But, at the same time, it's all those middlemen that are getting the more money, and people don't understand that. So again, if you're out there on social media talking about agriculture, you need to be freaking confident. And the only way you're going to get confident is getting comfortable in your own skin. And a lot of people view confidence as cockiness, which, don't get me wrong, there's definitely some people that are over cocky and, take confidence to a whole new level. But, how I view confidence is when you're confident in yourself, you believe in the ability of what you bring to the table. You put identity into who you are. And you're not in comparison to any other person in the room. That is a freaking beautiful thing to have. And that is something that we need to have. And so, for a fitness journey, yes, we all have this ideal. We have those favorite pair of jeans in our back of our closet that, one day I'm going to fit into them, those skinny jeans or whatever you want to call them. But at the same time, you don't forget that mental aspect that comes with it. Because as you start to work out, as you get confident, as you start to believe in your own abilities that you bring to the table, it becomes this beautiful part where all of a sudden, instead of viewing this as a journey with an end destination, you're more looking at it as an adventure. And it becomes a part of your lifestyle. And that's really where we take every client in FarmFit Training, is we get them to understand that this is an adventure. It's not an endpoint. There's not a final destination here. This is all about longevity, being able to be that active parent on the farm, being able to be that active wife. I can't tell you how many times I get a text from my husband being like, hey, I need your muscles. Come to the big shop. And I'm like, on it, I'm coming. Or my children. I love this. I have 2 boys. I'm a boy mom. I even have a boy dog. I'm outnumbered here. But my 2 boys, my 8-year-old had a test that they had to do, a questionnaire thing, and it was really cute. And one of the questions it asked him was, who's your hero? And, most little boys say their dad, their dad's a hero and stuff. No, my 8-year-old said mom. And the reason why is he's like, I want to be strong and have muscles like my mom. And I was just like, I'm like, yeah, it's not dad today. It's mom today. And then right after that, his profession that he wanted to go into was farming. So, that got in there. But, that's the thing is we forget hey, if we're not investing in ourselves, if we're not working on ourselves, that whole mental aspect of life, you're going to not be able to manage stress. One of the things I'm certified in is I'm a certified wellness coach. And what that means is I'm certified in stress management, mental and environmental wellness, along with nutrition, which is a huge, big aspect of farming, is because we're the world's biggest freaking gamblers. If you think about it, we are it. We gamble on the weather, which is never, we were just talking about how our spring season just went to heck. We gamble when it comes to crop prices. We gamble when it comes, markets when you're selling your grains, that's a gamble too. There's a lot of aspects that we gamble on when it comes to agriculture. And one of the things that we really teach people on and get them to understand is like, hey, you're gambling on this huge component of your life. And again, this is a lifestyle that none of us would trade, but let's not gamble when it comes to your own health. Like, let's not be in that position where you're told you have to get your health under control. Let's take action now so that we can be there for that future generations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's just been the mental idea in agriculture for so
Yeah.
long that we're just going to tough it out. Like we're a bunch of tough farmers or ranchers or things like that, and we're fine. We don't need help. We don't need to do all of these things. Or back like in our parents' generation, they were doing so much physical work. They didn't have the technology that they didn't maybe necessarily need to, at the end of the day, go get a 30-minute workout in or things like that. They were lifting those bales all day. And so they were active in that aspect. But because of technology and just different advancements and things like that, I feel like we've just put our mental and physical health to the wayside. And with that, our entire ability to raise the next generation and bring the next generation forth. Because yeah, absolutely. Everything that you said, I have the same desire. I want to be that mom that can go out and run with my kids and play with them all day long and not have to stop because my body is hurting or things like that. And granted, those things do come with age and all of those aspects as well. But it's one of those things that's, I want to be there and I want to fully be there as a parent and as an individual in agriculture. And I want to represent agricultural well as we are people of this world and this country that not only raise your food and raise your crops and produce these amazing products for you, but we're also the people that are going to represent well. We're going to be fit. We're going to be active. We're going to be confident. We're going to be amazing in our own skin and all of these things. And it's just, we have to get over the idea that we're doing enough or we've got it figured out or we don't need help, because it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be like, I don't actually know what I'm doing. I'm going to ask for help on this because I don't want to be doing a deadlift and hurt my back or things like that.
Yeah, and then the thing with agriculture is we're a lot of us in agriculture are stuck in our own ways.
Yeah.
Take me for example. In 2020, I was at my absolute mental lowest point, and I still didn't call that 1-800 number. I still didn't reach out for help because, yeah, it might have been stubborn. It might have been immaturity. It might have been, pride at that point to admit that I needed help. But that's the thing is there's so many great avenues out there to help you. There's I actually spoke at American Farm Bureau Federation. I spoke at their national convention in January about this, and they just launched that new ascendant about mind and body connection and stuff like that, which I love. And so, they offer counseling services and stuff like that. Like if that avenue doesn't intrigue you, and if you're not going to go call someone and reach out for help, again, that's a great avenue. There's no wrong way to approach mental health. There isn't. Like if you choose to call 1-800 number, you're still taking that step. If you choose to work with us and go through that physical transformation with us, you're still taking the right step. The biggest thing is take a step. Take the gamble on yourself, gamble on yourself. And I always go back to the saying, and we've all heard it when we were little, is it's a lot harder to pour from a half empty cup than a half full. Think about that. Like it's the same amount of liquid in that cup, but it's just that mindset thinking of like, hey, I can pour from a half full cup instead of a half empty a lot easier. I can be that hands-on mom, or I can jump in the tractor and help my husband anytime he needs it, or lift these heavy things. Like I can't tell you how many times I love being out in the field with, like, we have seasonal hired help that comes in, and I'll be out there in the field, and they're like, here, I'll go grab that. Like, we helped, case in point, we helped his uncle plant this year, since we couldn't plant. He plants like an hour north of us in Minnesota, and so we went over and helped him. And there was these 50-pound seed bags, and he's like, here, I'll get those. They might be too heavy for you. And I was like, move aside. I got this. And so I'm carrying 2 seed bags on my arm and chucking them up to my husband. and we loaded his planter tractor in, 10 minutes, which normally takes him about 45 minutes to an hour to do it by himself. And he was like, I'm going to have you guys come up all the time, like, something like that, where it was just like, to me, it wasn't a big deal because it was like, like, I can hug these bags. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, just get in your position, honey, and let me throw them up to you. Like, not a big deal. But I can't tell you how many farmers would have been in a different position, especially farm wives, they wouldn't have been able to do that. And so, when you take care of your physical health, it gives you a lot of those freedoms that we forget about. It gives you those freedoms, not only again mentally, but it also gives you the freedoms when it comes to your everyday life and doing tasks that we do every day that we don't think about. And now all of a sudden we can do it with ease. Now all of a sudden we're more energetic. We have more energy. We're not chugging a freaking monster at 4:00 because we're just wiped to the world and we need this energy boost. We're like the energized bunny. We're just go, 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 go. So there's a huge aspect to it that, again, if you're stuck in that old school thinking, first and foremost, get the freak out of it. Don't think you're freaking Hercules and that you have this endless supply of adrenaline, because let me tell you, when you get older, it's going to be depleted. And if you're not taking care of yourself through a physical transformation or nutrition, there's going to be a lot of everyday tasks that are going to be super hard for you. And that's just fact.
It is fact. And it's going to be one of those things that all of a sudden you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, oh shit.
How did I get
what happened?
Cussed. Oh, you make me feel better.
Like, how did I get here? What the heck happened? How did I wake up one day and all of a sudden I can't huck these 50-pound seed bags or anything like that up to my husband? Like, what happened? And you can't let it go by the wayside, because if it's one of those things that you don't prioritize it right now in the season of life that you're in right now, maybe you're in a really great season, and if you don't prioritize it, you're going to get to that really crappy season, and that's going to be the last thing that you're going to want to do. But if you form that habit and that routine now, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier here in 6 months when a valley comes and you need to go to the gym, or you need to go get that workout in, or you need to go be active for your mental health. It's going to be a lot easier because you're going to have that habit and that routine already established. And I just think it is so, so important that we just don't let it go by the wayside.
Yeah. Well, and when we talk about it, that's the thing too, is like, a lot of times when everybody knows they need to work out. Let's be honest. Like, we've all heard it. We've all went through physical education in school. Like, I mean, we all know, and we just forget about it. We get so busy in life that we forget, okay, if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm going to let some physician tell me that I have to. That's really what you're going to do. You're going to get to that point where a physician's going to be like, you have high blood pressure. Here, let me push a medication on you to fix that. Like, are you going to want to be dependent on medication? Or are you going to want to be self-dependent? Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's really where it's at. It's like, I don't want someone telling me I have to do something. I want to take control of my life now and be in the steering wheel, in the driving wheel. And I want to be that 80-year-old old grandma out there hucking these seed bags and showing these young busters up and saying, hey, no, I freaking got this. Like, move aside. Like, this is my, like, you know what I mean? I want to be that example for my children. Cause like, that's the thing, is like, I didn't grow up in a healthy household. I love my mom to death, but she has always struggled with her weight and her insecurity. She's always gone the quick fix route. She's currently taking a medication to lose weight, which I freaking hate. And don't even get me started down that rabbit hole. Trust me, I lectured her when she was here. She got an earful. But with that being said, like, I love my mom, and my mom's absolutely amazing, but I've never had that strong woman that was like comfortable in her own skin, that was that go-getter. And for me, that was a really driving force, is I want my boys to look at their mom and be like, my mom's a powerhouse. Like, my mom can do anything. And, it kind of leads back to it leads back to taking care of myself. and diving
Mm-hmm.
into that cup. And so, going back to 2020, I was low. Like I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to work out. I didn't even want to face my children. Like it was just like our world just got freaking rocked upside down. And all of a sudden I'm having to figure it out. Was it easy for me to start working out and posting that online? No. Like I promise you, if I go back in my stories and go back on social media, I'm crying in probably every single post. Like I'm not kidding. It was a sob story. You followed me. You probably don't remember this, but like cried on social media. I was very vulnerable. But again, me facing my own insecurities and my own vulnerability is where I got to where I am today. And so it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. It's okay if you don't know where to go. And it's okay if you're struggling right now. What's not okay is staying in the same position and not doing anything about it.
Yeah, it's all how you react. Just like I read in your bio, it's 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% of it is how you react. Because guess what? Life is going to throw some really rough curveballs your way every once in a while. And it's all about
Everybody,
how you react.
yep.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Your house might burn down. Like,
Or else might get cancer. Like, hey, I'm a healthy
yeah.
individual, but everybody like, again, I graduated in the cancer oncology field. Like everybody has the
Yeah.
cancer bug. It's certain events
Mm-hmm.
that trigger it to become active. Nobody's immune
Yeah.
to it. So like, even though I'm a super healthy individual, I could still get cancer. It doesn't pick favorites. Again, there's still things in life that are going to happen. It doesn't mean you need to be scared. No, live life to the fullest. I'm all about that. But at the same time, like take control of your life too. Take ownership and who you are and how you're leading your family. If you grew up in not a healthy lifestyle that like I grew up, oh my kids are gonna walk in. Grew up in not a healthy lifestyle like I grew up in, change it. Pivot it. You can change your course. You can change your route any day, anytime. Don't let somebody tell you you have to. Do it yourself. Take ownership in that. You want to say hi?
Yeah.
Come say hi. We have a guest.
Hi.
Say hi, buddy. Say good morning.
Good morning.
We just woke up.
Oh my gosh. Sleepyhead.
You want to tell everybody what you were doing last night?
What were you doing last night?
We were helping Dad. We are cover cropping right now. We're speaking of pivoting. We weren't able to get a lot of our crops in the field, and so right now we're doing a bunch of cover crop. You want to come say hi, John?
Yeah.
Come say hi real fast, and then you guys can give me a minute. This is mom life. There you go. Mom life.
We're pivoting. Yes.
Hi, say hi.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi. Say good morning.
Did you guys have a late night in the field?
My oldest, 10-year-old, almost 11. And then this is my youngest, 8 years old, almost 9.
Luke is the youngest.
Oh, Luke, our dog, is the youngest. This is correct. Correct. So,
Cannot forget.
can you guys give me a minute, please?
Yeah. Can we go to me right now?
Yes.
Where's my iPad?
Give me a minute. So, mom life, there you go.
Yes. It's all about pivoting. And again, it's how you respond to it and how you continue to just evolve and grow yourself from those situations, because you can let those situations either knock you on your butt or you can use them as a stepping stool to your next thing and what you're doing next in life and just different things like that too. I would love to talk a little bit about, you have a very holistic approach to nutrition and wellness and the mental aspect and the physical aspect, but also just how you're fueling your body before you even go and take a step in the mornings and things like that. I'd love to talk a little bit more about that, because I feel like so many times we know that we need to work out, but then we are eating donuts for breakfast every morning, or we're eating super highly processed foods, or we're just not fueling our body in the way that we need to be getting that lean muscle, or to just be building our physical physique, or just whatever your goals are. Nutrition is a big aspect of that as well.
It's a huge, like a lot of fitness coaches out there and fitness influencers out there say nutrition is 80%. of a health profile, which I do agree with that. Nutrition is a huge component of it. Like if you're not fueling your body right, you're not going to see the results. Like you could run 5 miles a day, and how many times have you talked to somebody that is an avid runner, but doesn't have that fit body or doesn't have that really energetic body? And oh, my dog caught a bird. There we go. This is mom life. But with that being said, for me, I love routines, and so do children. Like my boys are on a routine as well, and so one of the things that I talk to my children about is like, hey, we have set bedtimes, even in the summer. Some days it's not as beautiful as before, but other days it's a set time. So what I was talking about is like I put my kids in a routine, but I'm in a routine myself. Like it's crazy how your body adjusts so quickly. So like I don't even have to use an alarm clock to wake up anymore. Every day between 5 to 5:30, my body naturally wakes up. And for me, I always like to get my workout in before the kids get up, because if I don't get it in the first thing in the morning, it's hard for me to try to get it in during the day with the chaos and everything going on. And so one of the things that I do is like first thing in the morning, I have my routine. I go up to the shop, I plug in and check in with myself. I started reading a devotional every morning to start my day as I'm drinking my pre-workout, and I get my 15 to 25-minute workout in. And by doing that, I set myself up to be able to give myself for the rest of the day and be able to be that active, hands-on parent. And with that, nutrition plays a huge component as well. Like, post-workout recovery, I have a drink that I drink every single day. Breakfast, I don't skip breakfast. Like, some coaches talk about how breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Actually, every freaking meal is the most important meal. It's not just breakfast, it's everything, so like, let's talk about that. Don't just focus on one meal. Don't just nail breakfast in and then the rest of the day you're eating donuts. Like that's not going to do anything for you, And so one of the tips, like I know you wanted me to share this at the end, but I'm going to give it to you guys right now, is one of the tips that I educate all my clients is make sure everything you eat, if it's a snack, if it's a meal, have protein. It has some kind of protein source in it. So like, for example, my breakfast this morning was a recovery shake. It had half a banana in it. I used whole milk. I drink whole milk. Yes, I'm that whole milk mom. Don't even get me started down the rabbit hole of dairy. But whole milk is actually super beneficial for everyone. Don't be afraid.
Hey, our dairy farmers that are listening to this are like clapping their hands right now. So
yes. Like the way it's marketed is why a lot of people don't drink whole milk. But first and foremost, I am a very fit mom and I drink whole milk. Trust me, you can drink whole milk. But side note, I do a whole scoop of whole milk, protein powder, half a banana. I love using 100% natural cocoa. Mix it all together, and that's my post-workout shake. But it's complete because I get protein, carbs, and healthy fats. And so again, that's one of the things I educate on, is like fueling your body throughout the whole day, not just in a moment, not just in a certain time frame. Because like a lot of times we start the day fueling our body correctly, but then by the halfway through the day, we're like depleted because we didn't eat high protein, we didn't squeeze it in. And another thing I want to make sure everybody knows is in my app, I have over 1,000 macro friendly, high protein meals for everyone. So, that's one of the things we teach nutrition differently is instead of like, for example, Lauren, let's say you came into the program, a lot of times like one person or the other in the family will start their health journey, right? So like it's the male or the female. They get in this program and next thing you know, they're making special meals for just them. And then nobody else is eating the same thing. Like how many times has people done that? Well, that's a disaster first and foremost. That's not going to set you up for success. So one of the things that we do in FarmFit Training is I teach you how to cook one meal for the whole family, but also hit your goals and be able to fuel everybody with food that they like. So it's not a customized meal plan. It's more like a customized meal plan for everyone. in your family. So like my boys and my husband eat everything I make. When we have seasonal help during harvest and sometimes planting season, the hired help eats what I eat. And they love it because, by the way, they lose weight and they're getting full all day and they freaking love coming out. Like, they look forward to my meals. They're like, I know this is healthy, but the taste is right there and we don't need to know all the nitty gritty. Like, just keep bringing it. And that's the thing is, like, nutrition can be fun. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
something we look negative about. Like, it can truly be fun. Like, you can teach your kids what healthy food looks like and what fueling our bodies. Everybody in my family is on a high protein diet just because I am. And again, my husband's the most old school picky farmer. Like, he's a meat and potatoes dude. But guess what? We still have that. I just do my little flair when it comes to sauces or what I add on as a side. But I'm still hitting my numbers. I'm still hitting my macro profile, but I'm fueling my boys and my husband as well and our hired help at times. So for me, going back to your question, sorry, this was a long-winded answer and we had a lot of interruptions here. is make nutrition fun. Make it fun and get yourself in a routine. If nutrition scares you, create a habit for yourself. Like, get yourself like high protein snacks to grab on the go. Start slow, dip your toes into breakfast, and then after you start to nail in 3 different breakfast meals for yourself, start to move into lunches, and then slowly build up this really sustainable menu for yourself that you're comfortable with. And then guess what? You're going to start getting super comfortable where you're making different types of foods. You're able to go on the go. You're able to go on the fly. And then it becomes super fun because you're fueling yourself, but at the same time, you're eating healthy and you're noticing these changes not only in your skin, but also in your energy levels. Your hair is growing better. I mean, there's just so many amazing benefits by fueling yourself correctly.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing about like starting your journey is you have to remember that it has to be sustainable. So you can't change everything overnight. You're not going to go from 0 to 100 overnight. Like you said, you have to find like the 1 or 2 things and then grow from there as far as your nutrition goes. And just as far as like your entire approach to holistic health and nutrition, you have to be super sustainable with it. So that comes with everyone in your family is going to be on the same diet that you're on. Like, because that's what's easiest. And honestly, it's what's best for your family too. Because if you have your kids eating like, and no shame if you are right now, but like donuts or something like that for breakfast and that's in your pantry, it's super easy for you to slip up and go grab that in your pantry.
100%.
Whereas if you have super healthy and nutritious and whole foods and stuff like that in your fridge or in your pantry, it's going to be way easier for you to go grab those as a quick snack or something like that rather than retreating to just whatever you have. And I think that it's just so important that we remember that it's just taking the first step, it's being sustainable with it, but then it's also just making sure that it's something that you can enjoy. Like you said, have fun with it because it's so easy for us. Like you said, your husband is a very like traditional meat and potatoes guy. That's probably what his mom made. And that's what he grew up on. And so it's up to us to make that first step of like, okay, so if we want our kids to have healthy futures and healthy lifestyles, they're going to also retreat back to what mom made back when they were young and stuff like that. So it's up to us to kind of like really start instilling those healthy habits in ourselves so that we can instill them in our children growing up and things like that as well.
100%. And I should make this clear is like, my kids still have donuts. They still have the
exactly.
I'm all about the 80-20, 80% hit, 20% off.
Yes.
But like when I was going aggressive after my goals, I mean, I was really disciplined with myself. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you open our snack drawer, there's some Cheetos in there, which is the most horrible food on the market. Like, don't get me wrong. But again, do my kids grab those? No. The cool thing is like, they have access to like, they love vegetables. They love hummus and guacamole. They tend to reach for those more healthier foods. And so like the Cheetos, I probably purchased them like 3 months ago and they're still in the snack drawer. They start to make healthier choices. Like, you don't have to deprive your kids of candy or anything like that. But again, they'll start making healthier choices because they see you do it. They see mom being that example. They see dad being that example. Like my husband, he raids my beef sticks all the time. And so now my boys do the exact same thing. You know, they mimic what they see. And I want to make this clear to everybody too listening. If you've never heard about macronutrients, or if you're diving or wanting to know more about it, is macronutrients is not a diet. First and foremost, I hate the word diet because even though diet means nutrition profile, to me, diet takes on a whole meaning because again, my mom, you know, I look at my mom, for example, diet almost feels like it's restrictive, and it's like, it's a give all and you fail if you don't. So how I tell my clients when they're starting to dive into macronutrients is it's a nutrition theory. We're learning how to fuel our bodies correctly through everyday foods. And sometimes you might be able to sneak in an ice cream and a donut in there and still hit your macros. And that's the beautiful part about this process is you can still enjoy life. Like I'm not a drinker. I'll be the first to admit that. Like I maybe have a drink once a year. And I think the last time I've had a drink was like 2 years ago. Like I'm just not a drinker. That's just not, I got that wild phase out in college. So now I'm over that. But for me, like if you're a drinker, I don't care, you know what I mean? But the thing here is you can still go out every now and then with your friends and have a couple drinks and not feel guilty about it. And that's when you know you have a healthy relationship with foods. You know, in society today, a lot of the major events, if we look at every holiday or gatherings, guess what they're focused around? Food. Like drinks or food. If you really think about it, anytime you get together with your friends, it's drinks or food. And so a lot of people in today's society have an emotional attachment when it comes to food. And that's where that pressure of having it to be perfect or give it all, you know, don't get me wrong. There's some fitness influencers that are way more chiseled than me, you know, that have that physique that are like insane. But again, they're super disciplined. And that's what the lifestyle they want to live. Is it the lifestyle I want to live? No, I'm comfortable in my own skin. Like, could I have chiseled abs? Absolutely. But is it something that I'm going after? No, my goals are a lot different. My goals are all about energy, healthy, active, comfortable in my own skin. And so, you know, as you dive into your fitness journey, you have to align with your goals. Like if you are chasing after that chisel physique, it's going to be tough. I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be tough because you have to be super disciplined. You have to be super targeted. You have to meal prep like a mad woman, a mad man. Like it's a ton of discipline. But if you're more going after that lifestyle changes, you know, losing some fat, building that lean, sexy muscle, being able to be active on your farm and a helper and be active with your kids, then you can do that in our program as well. Like you can do both of them in our program. It's just, you got to decide where you're at and what your goals are and how they align.
Mom, can we take the outfit?
Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
I feel so bad for you. I'm sorry. Normally I have a sign.
No, you're fine. Oh my gosh. No, seriously. You do not need to apologize. You are completely fine. I am surprised that my dogs haven't started going ape shit outside of the office right now.
You
So,
called it out.
yeah, I called it out. So yeah, the delivery man's going to come here in about 3 minutes and they're going to go crazy. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I would love to, like, you kind of naturally already started to talk about it, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about your fitness program, kind of your philosophy, mindset, all of those things behind it. If someone's interested, how they learn more, I'll obviously have all of it linked, but I would just love to hear more about the birth of your program and kind of the journey that it has been within that as well.
Well, I started off with one-on-one coaching. I'll be the first and foremost, but we actually took that away. So we don't offer one-on-one coaching anymore. We are in a very exciting point right now. So right now we're actually making I currently have like 400 clients in FarmFit Training. We've had this specialized group called Legacy. That was the only way you could get into it is to go through one-on-one coaching. Well, now we decided to actually make that group public. So I don't know when this is going out, but the end of July, anybody can join the program. You know, what we've noticed in one-on-one coaching is we were just so it was almost like the bottleneck of my business. Like we tailored everything. It was so hands-on that we have to cut it off, and we only could take on a certain number of clients. And so we would get like 300, 400 applications for 60 spots. And it was just like, how can we bring something that we'll be able to work with more clients and make more of an impact. And so then that's when we introduced Legacy. So something that we are bringing out the end of July, like I said, I don't know when this is airing, is a membership program, which I highly recommend everybody to freaking check it out. And so with this membership program, you get workouts, you get nutrition guidance, you get mental health services, like how we approach mental health, obviously through physical transformation, but we drop a lot of education into that too, as like habit training, stress management practices, how to channel into nutrition and view nutrition as food instead of having that emotional attachment. And so everything is actually housed. I have my own app. So if you search FarmFit Training in any, Apple Play or whatever app, or Android or anything, you will find us. Best way to get to know more information about us, obviously, is our website, which is www.farmfitmama, so MOMMA.com, where we actually go through everything and list it all out. And there's a really cool macro calculator on there that you can go through. And then there's also a survey that you guys could go through. So if you don't know where to start, I highly recommend going through our survey and answering those questions, because it will put you in the right program that we recommend for you, which is really cool as well. So again, we have tons and tons of free resources as well on my website that you can download today. Like I have 2 ebooks, and I have another huge, massive 60-page ebook coming out for free that you can automatically download and just get in more information. And so if anybody is interested in what we offer, I highly recommend starting there, as on our website, or reaching out to me on social media, which I do all my social media pages by myself. How many times like people get big enough where they don't really touch their social media? No, you're talking to me. So if you message me, you're talking to me. It is me. I'm never, ever going to let that go, because I want to get to know everybody and anybody. So again, if you have questions, reach out to us. There's a lot of exciting things coming out. We do quarterly challenges that you can join that are super inexpensive. And the ideal is so that you can get to know us and see if we're a good fit. Because at the end of the day, there's so many fitness programs out there. So many. And it's like, you join one and you're like, I'm not vibing with these people. Like, this is not my thing. And you join another. And that's the thing with us, is I get it. I want people to understand, like, hey, my workouts are quick and effective. Like, they're 15 to 25 minutes, but I'll humble your ass in that time. Don't get me wrong. But with that being said, we really dive into nutrition, and I really approach it as that, like you said, the holistic approach. Like, we're going to teach you to cook one meal for the whole family and still hit your goals and still see those changes in your body that you want to see. And then we're going to tap into that mental health component, through habit training, stress management, environmental and social wellness as well, or not wellness, but environment, and wellness, overall wellness as a whole. And so there's a lot more to our program, where when you become part of the tribe, I say it's a tribe, you really feel connected. And that's the cool part, is like, a lot of our clients talk to each other outside the app, and we freaking love it. Like, they've literally have built such an amazing relationship with people inside the app that now they're connecting outside of it. And I can't tell you how many times we'll get pictures of clients meeting up for the first time. Women meeting other women, or, our male clients meeting other male clients across the United States or Canada. So it's really cool, is where you're not just joining a fitness program here, you're really joining a like-minded community to really help push you. Because at the end of the day, a fitness journey is a journey about yourself. Like, you're taking charge of yourself, but you don't have to go about it alone. You can connect with a well-rounded, like-minded community where it becomes fun, and you build these amazing relationships with people all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Fitness can be fun. And if you guys are interested, please like let Amanda know. I will link all of those things in the show notes, and you guys can go check out her socials, get to know a little bit more about her. And she still is very raw and open about her life on social. Like if you want to get to know her personality a little bit, head over to like go watch her Instagram reels or TikToks or stuff like that, and you'll get the whole feel. And all of those things. And yes, absolutely. Well, Amanda, I would love to round out the podcast with your one piece of advice that you would like to give to the next generation of agriculture.
Just start. That's literally my one piece of advice. I mean,
Yeah.
just like that Nike slogan, just do it. Just
Yeah.
start. It's never going to be a perfect time. Like, how many times do we jump in a fitness program or a nutrition program because we have this vacation coming up, or a season of life where we want to take control? It's never going to be a perfect time to start. There's never going to be this door that all of a sudden opens and you have all this free time. It's just not there, And so my one advice to anybody out there is just start. It isn't going to be pretty. It's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to go through that some days it's just going to be shit hit the fan and it's not going to be perfect. But at the end of the day, you're still taking that initial step and you're still investing that time and energy in yourself. So.
Yes, I couldn't have come up with a better way to sum up everything that we talked about today. Thank you so much, Amanda. I cannot even express enough how much your words of wisdom impacted me today, which I know will in turn impact my amazing audience. And guys, if you are interested in learning more about Amanda or her nutrition program or fitness program or anything like that, head down to the show notes. I will have everything linked down below. And as always, thank you for listening to another episode of The Next Generation. We will see y'all next week. Bye.